The stock market again pushes into all-time highs, although tomorrow is going to be one of the biggest days of the month, going into the rest of the year as well, because it's coming into the Fed rate cuts. But what if I told you tomorrow wasn't important because of the rate decision? The key about tomorrow going into the end of the year, getting continuation, seeing more buying, and ultimately having this bull market continue is all in the tone of what the Fed says, right? Everyone is expecting a cut. So getting a 0.25 cut isn't going to make the market boom. It's not going to make it crash. It's just expected, right? What you're looking to hear is the tone of the Fed of what they're looking to continue doing moving forward. Okay, we need to understand, are they looking to continue cutting? What is the scale? What are they looking at with inflation right now? Because inflation has stalled and it will be stalled as long as tariffs continue to be placed out there, right? We're going to see an uptick on inflation slightly. That's not going to surprise anybody. But the question is how does the Fed pivot? How does the Fed act towards these moves right now? Because right now it's clear as day that they're focused on the other side of the dual mandate, which is unemployment, right? Unemployment is far too high, and this could seriously spark stagflation in the economy if this continues. So it's very important to understand where we're at and how the Fed is going to navigate this. Okay. Now, the other part of this is that you have so much going on right now. Now, this is my Twitter. You can follow if you want. The link is down below. But I posted this as well as far as earnings. So, last night we talked about earnings on PayPal and SoFi, how I like those stocks. But that's not the real mover on the market, guys. The real thing that's going to move this market is going to be Facebook, Microsoft, Google, Apple, and then Amazon's here as well. Those are your, 5 of your Mag 7 names all reporting tomorrow. So we need to keep our head on a swivel and be vigilant of where we're at and how we're moving. Because again, it's nonstop this week, ladies and gentlemen, right? But I do think the Fed is what really gets everything started here. Because the Fed comes out with a tone of saying, okay, guys, well, we're looking to pause and we're not going to cut. We think we've cut enough. You're going to see the market want to pull back. I'm telling you right now. So it's very important to listen to exactly what's coming out of the Fed's mouth and how they're going to move from that. And then on the other part is there's something else happening here on the 30th. If the 30th wasn't already big enough with Apple and Amazon reporting earnings, it gets even bigger here because now you have Trump and President Xi meeting as well. This is the first time that we're going to see them meeting as of recently, at least. So again, very critical, very important where we're at and how we're moving from this current position. Because again, we're in a really good position with this trade war situation right now. But the question is do they kind of light a fire here? We want this to stay calm, we want it to stay cool, and hopefully we continue on the same path. But it seems like so far the trade talks have gone very well, and that we're moving in the right direction, and the market is loving it. Now, when we go back to the chart, this is where things get more interesting, and I think we have to start focusing a little bit more here, because obviously the NASDAQ is going ballistic. On the 2-hour chart, you can see you continue to just go up and up and up, and we've broken our previous all-time highs. You can see there, 25.4, now pushing towards 26.2, which is obviously incredible, right? To see where we're at and how far we've come, over the past few weeks, right? Since we had the trade war, temper tantrum mentioned out here, and now we're bouncing back into highs. Awesome. Great to see, right? Now, again, as we're approaching this, we're going to talk about what's carrying us and what's moving us the most as a market as a whole, and ultimately what I'd be watching as far as the best trades and intraday action for scalping, etc., throughout the day as well. Let's get to work, okay? Now, before I go crazy, before I go too far, I want to say right now, if you want to see how we're trading, what we're trading every single day, the link is down below for you. Every morning I go over futures and I give you a watch list for the day as well of what we're looking at there. Then from there, you go into your watch list from Jordan, his top stocks, what he's looking at, our trade ideas for swing trades. We're not doing a lot of swings right now. Technicals are all of our scalps. Today we scalped AVGO, we had Nvidia, and I believe we had Tesla. Those are all of our big trades here on the day, and they're all looking pretty solid. So again, you get to see all of that, what we're doing every single day. The profits are also there for you if you want to see. So again, the link is down below. Do what you got to do. Now, as we approach tomorrow, okay, I want to say right now, obviously you're at this level of all-time highs. This doesn't even look like the 2-hour chart, which is like kind of comedy to even say, is, you're moving so well right now. This literally does not look like a 2-hour chart. It looks like a 5-minute chart because how you're moving straight up, okay? you're not really getting pullbacks as of right now. So it's not like you're getting tons of buying opportunities. So what you have to be doing is watching your levels and how you're moving right now. What do I mean by that? So I'm going to go into something like AVGO and show you a trade example that we did today. So going back, I want to show Discord just to give you an example of how I'm navigating this market right now. Okay. So going into technicals, as we viewed here, this was AVGO this morning. I wanted to see a mount above basically 367 and start pushing into basically 370, then all-time highs around 373, which you're doing right now. Okay. So if we go to AVGO, you didn't really get those opportunities this morning, which is funny, as you can see here, right? So this is where we marked it out. We never got that amount, so I wasn't able to enter the trade. Well, you fast forward from market open 8:30 all the way into 11:30 noon, basically, and you get the break, the mount, and then you shoot up basically $5-6. Awesome. Great trade example, right? But this takes time. So again, I highlighted back, said same, literally like 4 hours later, same level, AVGO, take 2, looking for the break and retest. You got it. Obviously, you went crazy. So again, what and why I'm looking for these things. And I made a tweet earlier as well explaining that so many times we go into the market every day and we're like, okay, I got to make X amount of dollars. I got to do X, Y, and Z. And that's not necessarily a bad thing to have goals every day, but it is a bad thing when you start lining up with, these are my goals and this is what I have to do and this is what I'm going to do no matter what. Because some days you're not going to get opportunity. Like here, I need to make a certain amount of dollars every day. Yeah, I do. But if we don't get the break, then I can't trade it. I can't do anything with it. I have to just sit here, I have to be patient. There's no way around it. That's just what it is. So it's important that I understand I have to still follow my trade plan, have to follow exactly what I'm looking for. And there's a reason why I'm looking for it and trust the plan and strategy that we have developed, right? So it's important to understand that. Now, as far as downside, I continue to say Netflix is one of the best downside trades you're going to get right now until you remount the 200 daily moving average. You've had a few rejections already. 1, 2, you rejected here at 11.70. I wanted Netflix so bad this morning. You just never got the entry opportunity. I wanted 11.03. But again, you came into that was your one trading opportunity there. But again, as long as you're rejecting 11.16, 11.17, looking for more continuation and downside there. Okay. Now going into the rest of the market, what's really carrying us today? What's carrying us is semiconductors. Again, you have to go to the 4-hour chart to really see here, but you can see semis are carrying the boats here, right? David Goggins, who's going to carry the boats? Who's going to carry the logs? Well, it's clear as day. It's semiconductors right now. They are doing the heavy lifting. They are going ballistic. It's no joke right now, right? And as you continue to see where we're at and how we're moving, I don't really get the hint that we're going to slow down necessarily anytime soon with how we're moving here on semis names. And it's not just NVIDIA, it's AVGO. It's all the names kind of cumulatively moving up together. AMD as well going straight up. So this has been the staple, the anchor of the market recently. It's clearly been semis and it hasn't changed. So as long as they look so strong, this is what you're looking for. And you literally have NVIDIA on stage right now, just announcing deal after deal after deal. It's also worth mentioning NVIDIA, again, is going for that, I believe, the 5 trillion market cap at around 206, 205. So it could be bananas if we actually get that type of move. So also crazy. Be looking at that as well. Now, I want to make sure I have your levels here on SPY and Qs. You're not going to have a lot of levels, like I said. You're going straight up. You're not going to have a lot of data to backtrack on, right? You have a lot of gaps. It's a lot of indecision here. So I want to highlight something that I always say. And again, I'm not trying to be bearish. I'm just trying to make sure people understand where you're at, how you're moving as a whole. When you move up very fast, you can move down just as fast. There's no liquidity here, almost all the way down into like basically 678 and then 373. So understand that before you start getting hyper aggressives, trying to YOLO, do all this stuff. You're going to get more opportunities. It's another thing we say here on the channel all the time. You don't need to be the first person into these trades. Okay. Very, very crucial that we understand that first, right? That being said, you look really good. Now, another name I'm watching out there right now is Meta. One thing that I've said is I like Meta a lot, but again, I would encourage you guys to really understand where these earnings are taking place right now. If I'm trading, for instance, if I want to day trade Meta today, I'm not going to make as much based on the implied move and the volatility on the stock because it has earnings. So I'm paying a premium to trade it. And then it's also not going to move as volatile as it typically does because it has earnings tomorrow. I'm not looking to trade anything with earnings overnight. I don't want to. I don't want to hold a position overnight going into these earnings. I think it's way too much risk. Even though I love SoFi, I love PayPal, but I still didn't want to trade those overnight. I've had stock, I held it. That was it. That was my mentality, what I was doing. That was all, right? So I want to make sure it's clear as day. So if you have earnings on these names, I personally would wait to start day trading them until after their earnings. Might sound boring, might not be what you want to hear, but that's what I would be doing personally right now. Okay. The only stock with earnings that I think has like a lot of upside. I think Meta has a lot of upside. Don't get me wrong, but the name that I would really be watching here from earnings is going to be Amazon, as you recently retested your 200 daily moving average and are bouncing. It's just an incredibly strong stock, in my opinion. I think it's undervalued when we look at the rest of the Mag 7. And I think it's just undervalued. So I'd really be watching this as it starts to push into 240, possibly higher, depending on how good earnings do go. Definitely one of the names I would be watching here. Again, I'm hyper bullish on it, so definitely be tracking it. Very, very strong. Okay. Now, as far as other names outside of earnings that you can be trading and looking at, okay, the big one here obviously is Palantir, which has earnings next week. Again, it's one of the earnings names, but I still like it a lot going into this week. I still would be trading this one. You can still trade weeklies or going to next week. It's also cheaper. But again, if you get above these, you're holding above it right now, 189.5. You hold that. I think this could start pushing to 200 even before earnings. I think earnings are going to be pretty good for it, but still what I'm watching, how I'm tracking it, everything in between there as well. So also, okay. The other area of the market that's interesting is what's happening with healthcare, UNH, Eli Lilly. So if UNH can mount 377 here, your 200 daily moving average is right here at 389. I'd be targeting that. You have around $10 of upside potentially. That's the trade there. Don't overcomplicate it. What I'm looking at, why I'm looking at it. Okay, very simple, easy to see. Again, not super complicated stuff right there as well. Okay. A little bit further is these cloud names I've been telling you about. CrowdStrike, again, continues to boom. It's been one of my favorite stocks. I've been telling you guys, do what you want to do with this information. Very strong as well. Snowflake continuing to move towards 270. I genuinely have no resistance really until like 289, 290. I think it's one of the best looking names out there as well. Be tracking it, be watching it. Big fan right now. It looks like a monster right now. It looks like an absolute unit, an absolute monster of a stock where you're at here. I would still be watching Oracle, but Oracle needs to get above 292 before I start looking at longs. Above 292, I think it's a long back towards 300, maybe even 305, 306. Until then, though, be careful. Keep your head on a swivel. What I'm watching, why I'm watching it. Definitely important there as well. Okay. Crypto's been back and forth. Okay. I want to be very clear about this. And you do have some of these earnings coming up. I would be watching closely where crypto's at. I'm not looking to get aggressive on Coinbase MicroStrategy just yet. Personal opinion, do whatever you want to do, but that's where I'm at as a whole there. Okay. A lot of my focus, I am heavily focused on some of these mid caps as well. And if we can get past this week, okay, guys, again, I firmly believe IWM is securing this breakout, as you can see here. And I do think, look, I love day trading large caps. I think I'm going to have to switch some of my focus from some of the large caps into the mid caps because I think there's monster potential there, right? That's why I was mentioning PayPal. That's why I love SoFi. That's why I'm mentioning more of these cheaper names out there because I think there's a lot of reward opportunity out there. Now, again, I think there's risk associated with them, but I want to address there's a time when you should get more risky. There's a time when you should be more conservative. And, we've had a good past few months, but very rarely do you see this type of action on IWM. Worst case scenario, we take a little bit of an L over the next few weeks, but I do think this is the time that we start getting some of those chips and we start pushing a little bit more into the middle of the table here. Personal opinion, how I'm looking at this, how I'm attacking it. But again, this is really what I've been waiting to see. And this is really what I like to see out of the market right now. So again, very important. So although, again, we look at all these major names out there, I think you should be looking at IWM and how that risk on sentiment is pushing out there, especially if the Fed continues to wanting to cut rates and sees the market moving well from the rate cuts. Again, that's how I'm kind of approaching this, how I'm watching this, and what I'm really looking for here, okay? Again, you don't want to be over trading these names that have earnings. I want to highlight that as much as possible. You will get buying opportunities off of earnings as well. I'll use an example, and I'll talk about this tonight in the video. But SoFi, you report earnings, they were fantastic. I think SoFi's earnings were awesome. They could have been, I guess earnings in theory could always be better, but I genuinely it went almost exactly like we wanted. They did around $950 million of revenue. Great beat. Revenue is growing. Membership is growing. Growth in the company. Everything that you want. You almost came down perfectly back into 28.5, 28.3 for your perfect buying more opportunity there. Sucks you didn't really get that all the way, but again, bounced right back into $32. I had people commenting here on YouTube on yesterday's video saying, why is SoFi crashing? First of all, guys, you need to understand, it's not a crash if you've moved up 300% and you dip down $1. That's not a crash. Like, that's really stupid that we're even saying that, but very important that we are addressing it as well. Like, what are we talking about, guys? We cannot be so emotional with our trades that you see a little bit of red and you freak out. You also have to understand, everyone, and I'm going to get messages today. I'm getting them right now as I'm live on TikTok. Do I buy SoFi? Do I do this? Do I do that? I'm never going to tell you to buy. I'm never going to tell you to sell. But what I will say is, no one likes buying stocks when they're affordable, when you're at support, when you're getting a dip buying, and no one wants to buy them for some reason, right? SoFi, when you dip down, I had a few people that bought it down here at $25, but no one was super interested. You all get interested as we're in all-time highs and price discovery. I'm going to tell you a very big secret. That is and again, don't get offended, but that is the brokey mentality. That is what that is. You're constantly scared that you're going to lose, you're going to miss out, your strategy's wrong, this or that. You have no confidence in anything that you're doing or even the stock that you're buying. So you don't want to buy it when it dips, and that's really when you want to buy names, right? Everyone's calling for a crash and a bubble and this and that. But in reality, that is when you buy. Like, this is when you buy at our level, right? And so again, I encourage you guys, if you like a stock, do some research, do due diligence, especially if you're looking to swing it, like, and actually own the stock. Like, there should not be a question of why are we crashing as we're literally $1 away from all-time highs. It's the craziest thing I've actually ever read. I was like, wow, that's nuts. And it's just hilarious that you're back at all-time highs right now. So again, where we're at, how we're moving, the market looks great. Do some due diligence, take some accountability for your work as well. I'm excited where we're at. Market is moving amazing. This is exactly what we wanted to see. Hopefully earnings can continue to go well. I really have no concern about the Fed meeting tomorrow. Again, what you want to hear is continuation from Powell. He's happy with everything that he's seeing, and hopefully if they're mentioning what's happening with unemployment, that continues to get them in the position to cut, and that they're not worried about inflation. We don't want to hear him say anything negative regarding Trump's tariffs and inflation there. I want to make that very clear. That is the most important thing for the Fed meeting tomorrow to be tracking, to be watching, okay? Now, again, guys, I recommend that you follow on Twitter. I post every single day, charts, what I'm looking at, updates on the market, videos, etc., all the news as it comes out. I have the Discord link down below, the TikTok link, all that. So again, we're posting nonstop for you guys. Have a good one, traders. See you tomorrow.